What if I told you that the story surrounding Candace Owens has just taken a turn no one saw coming? The woman once known for fearlessly speaking truth to power is now facing some of the harshest backlash of her entire career, from lawsuits and bans to shocking accusations and a mysterious investigation that has the internet divided. This might be the biggest unraveling in conservative media history, and it all starts with one question. What really happened to Charlie Kirk when you look? At everything unfolding around Candace Owens right now, it feels less like a news cycle and more like a storm that refuses to end, because every day something new seems to surface and every headline seems to twist the story a little further, and the question that everyone keeps whispering online is whether Candace has gone too far or whether she's the only one brave enough to keep digging for the truth, because when the death of Charlie Kirk shook the conservative world, it didn't. Just silence a familiar voice. It sent shockwaves through an entire movement, and what's left in its wake is confusion, anger, grief, and suspicion. Candace Owens has always been known as someone who doesn't hold back. She speaks boldly, questions everything, and never seems afraid of backlash, but this time it's different. This time her words have ignited something deeper, something volatile even among those who once stood by her side, because when a friend dies in a public and violent way, the emotions that follow are complicated, and Candace didn't take the path of silence. Instead, she took to her platform to investigate what she believed were unanswered questions surrounding his death, and that decision has made her both the center of attention and the center of controversy. She claims she's found inconsistencies in the story she's received, cryptic messages. She's pieced together things that to her don't make sense. She's spoken about trapdoors, underground passages, and coded conversations about bees. And while some people online dismiss her theories, others say she's uncovering something bigger, something no one else wants to talk about. She says she's grieving. She's lost faith in the system. She once defended, and she feels betrayed by those closest to the case. The conservative community, which once rallied around her, has begun to fracture under the weight of this chaos. And while Candace says she's only asking questions, others say she's spiraling, that grief has clouded her judgment, and that she's spreading confusion at a time when the world needs unity. The story becomes even more tangled when you realize how much Candace has on her plate at once. She's facing legal battles. She's banned from Australia. She's in the middle of an ongoing lawsuit with the French president and his wife. And yet through all of that, she's still pressing forward, trying to uncover what she believes are hidden truths about Charlie's death. And it's hard not to wonder what drives her. What keeps her up at night? Is it the grief? Is it guilt? Or is it something more personal? Something that makes her feel like she's the only one left who truly cares about what happened to him. When she talks, you can feel the heartbreak, the disbelief, the anger. She doesn't sound like someone chasing fame. She sounds like someone desperate to make sense of the senseless. She said that nothing about his life felt real, that everyone around her seems content to move on while she can't let go. That kind of emotion doesn't just fade, it lingers, it consumes. And maybe that's what makes this story so hard to watch, because it's not just political anymore, it's human, it's raw. It's messy, and it's happening in front of millions of eyes across social media. Every post, every clip, every interview seems to fuel the fire further, and no one really knows where the truth ends. And speculation begins as the dust settles. Around Candace Owens, the deeper layers of this story begin to show themselves, because this isn't just about one investigation or one tragedy. This is about a woman who feels the entire world turning its back on her while she tries to hold on to what she believes is truth, and for the first time, it feels like she's fighting this battle alone. Ever since she left Turning Point USA, her relationship with her former allies has been rocky. But after Charlie's death, the tension exploded into something no one expected. She's accused powerful organizations of hiding evidence. She's questioned people in Charlie's inner circle, and she's even hinted that there may be forces beyond what we can see manipulating how this story is told. And while some people see bravery, others see obsession. She's gone on record saying she doesn't trust the official investigation, that she believes the person charged with the crime, Tyler Robinson, might not be the one responsible, and that there could be a larger cover-up unfolding in the shadows of politics and power. These are huge claims, and the internet is reacting in real time with every theory she posts. Thousands of comments flood in, some calling her a truth seeker, others calling her unstable, and that polarization has turned this case into a spectacle where grief and drama collide for Candace. This investigation has become personal. It's no longer just about finding answers. It's about proving that she's not crazy. Proving that the system isn't as clean as people want to believe. And every time someone dismisses her, she seems to come back stronger with more questions, more clips, more emotion, and more frustration. It's almost like she can't stop even. When she tries to step back from the chaos, something pulls her right back in. She announced a break from her podcast earlier this month, saying she needed time to reset. But that pause only made her audience more curious, because when she came back, she didn't sound calmer. She sounded more determined and more convinced than ever that Charlie was betrayed, and that those betrayals reach higher than anyone realizes. She said that the politics around his death made her lose faith in everything she once supported. She's even questioned her faith in political leaders she previously defended, and that's when her story began to blur the line between political commentary and something more spiritual. She talks about demons, about manipulation, about energy, about how nothing feels real anymore. It's haunting to listen to, and yet somehow magnetic, like watching someone stand on the edge of something massive, but refusing to step back. And what makes this moment so fascinating is that it's all playing out live in front of millions, no scripts, no PR filters, no producers controlling the narrative. Candace Owens is just speaking, and the world is watching, waiting, and debating whether she's uncovering something we all missed, or whether she's collapsing under the weight of grief. The more she speaks, the more divided her audience becomes, and the more her peers distance themselves from her. It's a strange irony, because the very same people who once praised her courage now treat her like a warning label, and that kind of isolation can do strange things to anyone. It can make you double down on your beliefs. It can make you feel like the world doesn't want the truth out there. And for Candace, that feeling seems to be fueling every word she says, every theory she chases, and every clue she thinks she finds. And while no one knows where this will lead, it's clear she's not backing down, no matter how loud the criticism gets. The more Candace Owens speaks, the more unpredictable everything becomes, because what started as a conversation about grief and justice has now spiraled into a full-scale media storm, and no one can seem to control it, not even her, it feels like. She's standing in the center of a hurricane, trying to hold her ground while the winds tear through everything around her. Friendships, alliances, reputations. Even her own sense of peace are being tested. The lawsuit filed against her by the French president and his wife over her Becoming Brigitte series still hangs heavy over her name. The ban from Australia, which prevents her from even stepping foot on the continent, adds another layer of global controversy. And now the outrage from fellow conservatives makes her world feel even smaller. Every door that once opened for her now seems to slam shut. Yet despite all of this, Candace refuses to stay silent. Her belief that something darker is at play in Charlie Kirk's death pushes her forward. She suggested that there are connections between money, power, politics, and betrayal. And though she's careful with her wording, her tone carries enough weight to make people wonder if she's hinting at something far beyond what's on the surface. She's even claimed that coded conversations and strange symbols might hold hidden meanings. Something about bees, trapdoors, and underground passages. Ideas that sound bizarre at first, but to her feel like patterns pointing toward a bigger puzzle. Some call it grief, others call it delusion. But no matter what people think, the curiosity keeps growing. And the more they doubt her, the more she digs deeper. She said multiple times that she's lost faith in the system in politics. And even in figures she once trusted, she said she no longer believes the narrative being presented to the public. And that in itself has made her a target from all sides. People who used to call her brave now call her reckless. And even those who never liked her are watching closely, wondering what she'll say next. And that's what makes this so intense, because no one can predict her next move. Will she expose something real? Or will this collapse into chaos before she ever gets there? Her own words paint a picture of someone who feels betrayed by the same machine she once defended, and that feeling of betrayal has become her fuel. She's talked about how holidays and monuments are used to distract from truth, she's mentioned. How political leaders use symbolism to hide guilt. She's even joked darkly that being honored after death means the opposite of being valued in life. Those moments are chilling not because they're violent, but because they show how far her mind has drifted from the world she once thrived in. She's not just questioning others anymore, she's questioning everything, including herself. She's begun to wonder who to trust. What's real? What's manipulation? And whether justice will ever come at all. When you listen to her speak, you can feel the exhaustion in her voice, the loneliness, the sense that maybe this fight has consumed more than she expected, and still she pushes on. She says she's not afraid of the backlash, that she's done being polite, that she'll tell the truth, even if it costs her everything. And that kind of resolve can either make a person a legend or destroy them entirely. And right now, Candace Owens seems to be walking the razor edge between both realities. One wrong step and the world could either see her as vindicated or forever lost in the echo of her own questions. By the time the next week arrives, the tension surrounding Candace Owens reaches a boiling point, and the silence between her statements feels louder than her words, because the public doesn't just want answers anymore, they want resolution. Yet Candace refuses to offer closure. Instead, she promises that she's coming back with more, that she's been working behind the scenes, and that she has seen things that will change how people understand what really happened to Charlie Kirk. She says that the truth has been buried under layers of politics, ego, and betrayal, and that she will stop at nothing to uncover it. And the internet reacts instantly. Hashtags, trends, and debates flood every platform. Everyone has a theory. Some say she's about to release proof. Others say she's about to destroy her own career. But either way, the world can't look away when she talks about her grief. It doesn't sound like scripted sympathy. It sounds like pain that hasn't found a place to rest. She speaks about how Charlie gave everything to the political cause he believed in, and how that same system abandoned him in death. She questions how someone could give so much loyalty only to be forgotten so quickly. And in that space, her grief turns into suspicion, her sadness into defiance, and her loneliness into a mission. She says she no longer believes in heroes. She doesn't believe in movements or leaders, only in truth and the people willing to search for it even when everyone else turns away. She talks about how she lies awake at night, haunted by the idea that nothing in his life was real, that people smiled in his face while hiding secrets behind closed doors, and she's determined to expose that darkness for what it is, even if she stands alone doing it as she prepares to relaunch her show. She hints that new evidence is coming, that she's found messages that connect the dots that everyone else ignored, and her followers hang on every word. Some send her prayers, others send her warnings, telling her to be careful, to watch her back, to take care of herself. Because the more she talks about this case, the more dangerous it feels, not in a physical sense, but in a way that truth itself can be dangerous to those who depend on illusion. She's aware of how isolated she's become, and yet she seems strangely at peace with it, as if the distance from her former allies has made her freer to speak from the heart. And even her critics admit that whether she's right or wrong, her conviction is undeniable. The courtroom silence, the gag orders, the sealed evidence, and the legal barriers all make it almost impossible for her to prove anything publicly. Yet she continues because she believes that one day everything hidden will come to light. And until that day comes, she'll keep asking questions, even if it means facing ridicule. She's said that justice doesn't always come from institutions. Sometimes it comes from persistence, from refusing to forget. And in that statement lies the heart of her story. Because this isn't just about politics or podcasts anymore, it's about a person searching for meaning in tragedy, trying to find peace in chaos, trying to make sense of the loss that shattered her faith in the world around her. And as she returns to the microphone after weeks of silence, millions will tune in. Not because they agree with her, but because they want to know what she'll say next. They want to see whether she'll fall apart or rise stronger. And that suspense, that uncertainty, that haunting question of whether Candace Owens is uncovering something, real or simply being consumed by grief, is what keeps everyone watching, unable to look away in the end. This story is no longer just about the man accused of killing Charlie Kirk or the courtroom silence surrounding him. It's about what happens when truth becomes a battlefield, when grief turns into obsession, and when those left behind refuse to let a tragedy fade into quiet memory. Candace Owens stands at the center of that storm, not as a politician or commentator, but as a grieving friend determined to find answers no one else seems willing to ask for. Whether she's uncovering real corruption or chasing shadows only she can see, her story reminds us that loss changes people. It strips them down to what they truly believe in. The gag order may silence voices inside the courtroom, but outside, Candace has become the echo that won't die down, the question that won't go away. Maybe the truth she's searching for isn't buried in evidence or testimony. It might be buried in the way people react when confronted with something they can't explain. And as the case continues, one thing is certain: silence will no longer protect anyone. The world is still listening, waiting for the moment when everything hidden finally breaks open.